story lovers. Today, we journey to the small but culturally rich country, Equatorial Guinea. Now, this nation is unique in that it's the only Spanish-speaking country on the continent. Equatorial Guinea is known for its diverse ethnic groups, including the Fan, its largest ethnic group, whose traditions are filled with wisdom, music, and, of course, unforgettable stories. One such tale is one we have today and explains the age-old rivalry, the reason why dogs and leopards are no longer friends. What started out as a simple game of hide and seek turns into a battle of wits and a lifelong grudge. Now, this is a story of why dogs and leopards are enemies. Let's begin. Once, long, long ago, dog and leopard were the very best of friends. They lived together, hunted together, and even built a great town where the two families could live side by side. Every evening, the dog and the leopard sat at the same table, sharing food, laughter, and stories. Now one day, they got into a little argument, as friends sometimes do. I tell you, dog, if I hide myself, you will never find me, declared the leopard. The dog chuckled. There is nowhere you can go that I cannot find you. The leopard flicked his tail. Ha! We shall see about that. Tomorrow I will hide, and you will search for me. And so, at the break of dawn, the leopard set off early from his home and travelled north, far beyond the winding river, until he found a tall tree many, many miles away. There, he climbed up high into the branches and hid amongst the leaves. Now, when the sun rose, the dog stretched, sniffed the air, and smiled. He went this way, and so off the dog trotted through the forest, through the valleys, following the leopard's scent, across the streams, over the hills, until at last he stood beneath the very tree where the leopard was hidden. Looking up, he called up to his friend. Is that not you, my friend? The leopard sighed and climbed down from the tree defeated. Well, the two friends returned home as usual, and they ate together. But the leopard was not satisfied with the outcome of that competition. Tomorrow I will hide again, he insisted, and this time you will certainly not find me. Well, the next morning, as agreed, the leopard ran southward beyond the rolling plains until he reached another place many, many, many more miles away. There, once again, he climbed another tall tree, confident this time that the dog would never track him there. But, of course, when the sun rose, the dog sniffed the air, wagged his tail, and trotted off again. Before long, he stood beneath the leopard's hiding place. Is that not you, my friend? He called again. The leopard growled in frustration and climbed down from the tree a second time. Well, once more, they returned home, ate, and rested. Now, this game continued for several more days, but no matter how far the leopard ran, north, south, east, west, no matter how many hours he spent meandering back and forth to conceal his trail, the dog always found him. Finally, after many, many days and many, many miles traveled in vain, the leopard grudgingly gave up. He said in the evening, "It is no use. I cannot hide from you, dog. I will not try again." Well, that would have been that, but the dog grinned triumphantly. I told you, of course, you cannot hide from me. But I am certain that if I were to hide from you, you will never find me. Now, the leopard, who was still annoyed at having lost the first game of hide-and-seek, scoffed. What? Even if you were able to find me, how much more should I be able to find you? And so the dog said to him, Wait until daybreak, and then let's see. Well, early the next morning, before the sun had even kissed the sky, the dog left his house like a flash unseen and ran to the leopard's place. There, underneath the leopard's bed, the dog lay down and hid himself quietly. Now, when the leopard woke up, he searched the dog's home and questioned his family. Then he ran to the village square, asking everyone, Where's dog? Where's dog? But no one had seen him, and it seemed as though the dog had disappeared without a trace. Still determined to find his friend and win this bet and regain some of his pride, the leopard now set off on a long journey. He searched every direction, following every path. He ran for miles and miles, growing more and more frustrated as he went. That tricky dog, he cursed. If I find him, I will make him pay. But of course, what the leopard didn't know was that the dog was never very far at all. In fact, he had been hiding right underneath the leopard's bed in his house all day long, resting quietly while the leopard ran around getting tired and sweaty. Well, at last, the weary, defeated leopard finally returned home and sat down to the evening meal with his family. Then afterwards, as he lay down to sleep, the leopard was groaning and complaining to his wife. If only I had caught him, we would be feasting on dog meat right now. Well, just then, the dog leapt out from underneath the bed, and of course, he had been listening to every word that the leopard had said. Is that not me, my friend? The dog barked playfully, trying to lighten the mood. The leopard groaned. He was embarrassed, of course, for he knew that the dog must have heard everything he had been saying. You tricked me, you cheat. But the dog merely laughed and trotted off back home to his family. But of course, he knew that trouble was now coming, for he had now embarrassed his dear friend on 2 accounts. Well, that very night, the dog, thinking carefully, gathered his family together. Leopard will not let this go. We must prepare. Let us dig a hole in the road that runs to our house and be ready. And so, the dog family stayed up all night digging. By morning, the hole was done. Now the rest of the dog's family left the house and went ahead to go and hide in the forest, leaving behind only the dog and his youngest pup, who was also the fastest of his children. As soon as the sun was up, the leopard and his children now came out, set out searching for the dog. When they saw the dog and his little pup standing in the town square, they immediately gave chase. The dog and his little one ran as fast as they could back towards the house, kicking up plenty of dust, and of course the leopard and his clan gave chase and were following closely behind. As they neared the pit, the dog whispered to his little pup, Remember, my child, jump with all your might. And now the dog quickly veered off the road and went off in one direction, so fast that no one could quite catch up with him. The leopard's family went after the dog. No matter, growled the leopard himself in anger. If we can't catch him, I will catch and eat this little thing. And so the leopard continued after the little pup. But just as they neared the doghouse, the little pup, remembering his father's instructions, leapt clean across the pit and made it safely across to the other side. The leopard, of course, not knowing what lay ahead, kept running, and of course fell straight into the hole. The leopard hit the ground, and it took some minutes before he could get up and look around him. And as he did so, he was suddenly stunned to find that he was not alone, for there, in the pit, was a gorilla who had just before come round the corner chasing the dog and fallen into the very same hole right after the leopard. The two beasts now stood at opposite sides of the pit, glaring at each other, neither one quite daring to move and make the first attack. Then they looked up, and up above, the dog stood at the edge of the pit, wagging his tail. My friends, is it not you? It seems that you are not hunting me after all. Enjoy your company. And off the dog trotted to go and join his family in the forest. The leopard and the gorilla now were stuck in the hole and stood staring at each other. So, after that, the leopard never did forgive the dog for winning the bet and for trapping him with the gorilla. And that was the end of the story. Well, the lesson here is simple. Don't pick fights with someone who is supposed to be your friend, or you might find yourself stuck in a hole with a gorilla. Well, there was no genuine quarrel between the dog and the leopard after all, but the dog
leopard
took a simple game far too seriously and instead made an enemy of his former friend for no apparent reason. And I suppose perhaps the dog too should not have goaded his friend quite so much when he won the bet. Well, that's it for today's episode. We'll be back again next week with another tale to spark your imagination. Until then, keep the fire burning.